So humor or idiocracy, I'm going to let you decide. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit first about how we describe people sometimes. Sometimes we use crazy to describe people. But what does crazy really mean? It can mean a lot of things. Does it mean mentally deranged, enthusiastic, stressed out? What does it really mean? But we can also use humor to describe people, and we can also say idiot. Right? We can call people idiots, but what does all that mean? So again, humor or idiocracy, I'm going to let you decide. I am attracted to people who can turn tragedy into triumph. And recently I heard a saying that said, rather than wait out the storm, learn to dance in the rain. So I'd like to think that I use humor to dance in the rain. So many of you don't know me, but over the last 6 months, I've shared a lot of things with my Toastmasters club. And part of that was my obsession with chicken soup for the soul. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with that series. But what I didn't share that night was that I actually had a chicken soup that I would put on Sunday night. And I would watch Touched by an Angel. And I would wait for Monica to, I gotta get the calendar, to appear in my dining room doorway and give me a little bit of guidance. So in addition to that, I've shared some pretty intimate moments, I suppose. That I have my grandmother's prosthetic breast under glass, that I'm obsessed with Erica Kane. In fact, I wore my Erica Kane sunglasses to one of my speeches. That the bank took away my bank card, and that I had the Icon production facility put on lockdown because of the money that I left in my car, that I may or may not be married. So, again, humor or idiocracy. So here at Toastmasters, well, let me tell you how it all started, actually. It started in the beginning. When I was born, I was a bit early. I was just 6 months. I was 3 months premature. And when I was born, my lungs weren't fully developed, so I had to spend several months in the crock pot. And at the end of that, it was time for discharge day, and the hospital presented my dad with a bill for $100,000. This was 46 or 47 years ago. They didn't have $100,000, so my dad said, "You keep it." That is a true story. And he left. And so the security guard went out, and they came back, and clearly everything worked out. But then the best part, or the worst part, I was a premature baby, right? I was so ugly.
How ugly were you?
I was so ugly that my mother, when people would say, "Oh, let me see the baby," she would throw the blanket over my head and tell them I was sleeping. So that, my friends, is how I came into the world. Ugly and broke and in debt. So all I could do was put on my dancing shoes. So we join Toastmasters for a lot of different reasons. We make ourselves uncomfortable, we push ourselves to the limit, we get nervous for 3 days, we have anxiety and panic attacks, and the worst part is, we pay to do it. Well, in high school I took a speech class, and we do a lot of the same things there that we do here. So one of my speeches was I had to teach the class how to do something, a how-to speech. So I thought I would take my award-winning 6th grade science fair project, which in 6th grade was award-winning, and present it to the class. So I taught them how to make Coke. Not that kind of Coke. Not that kind of Coke either. But Coke derived from coal to make iron ore. Well, I failed. So I put on the dancing shoes, and I had to pick something else. So I thought, I'm going to teach everyone how to play the sousaphone, or the tuba. So I came marching into the room like I knew what I was doing, and I sat up there and I hummed into the mouthpiece, "Hang On Sloopy," one of the Ohio State songs. I hummed "Hang On Sloopy" into the mouthpiece. I danced my way all the way to an A. I'd never even played the tuba. I was a drummer. So it worked out. So then let me tell you, my father, you've all seen those stick figures on the back of cars, you know, the mom and the dad and the baby and the dog. Well, I think think that my dad really missed out on an opportunity here. Because in war times, when they shoot down an enemy, pilot shoots down an enemy plane, they paint the flag of the enemy country on the side of the plane, right? Well, in high school, I ran this guy over. I really did. It was terribly traumatic for me. But he was okay, he was fine, he lived, and then he sued me for $350,000. Well, all I had in 1985 was a Commodore 64 computer and a swing bike. But anyway, one Sunday we were at my aunt and uncle's house, and I came out, and there on the side of my 1978 Pontiac Le Mans, my uncle and my father drew with a Sharpie on the side of my car, and I came outside and they said, "One down!" At the time I didn't think it was very funny, but it brought a little bit of levity to the situation. So I mentioned that my dad missed an opportunity missed the boat on the six figures. I really think he missed the boat that day in the hospital. When he left out into the parking lot, that man should have gotten in that truck and just driven himself home. Straight home. But he didn't. So, again, I like people who turn triumph into tragedy and dancing in the rain. So I'm going to say about myself, humor or idiocracy, it's an easy call for me, idiot. I got it. There are two things I would say to my parents if I could. To my father, I would say, "Hey, Dad, if I was worth $100 grand back then, adjusted for inflation, I'm worth $1 million today." And to my mother, I would say this: "Look at your ugly baby now!"